It's Skip and Amy, Positive Encouraging Caleb. We are with Chris Tomlin and Tyler Hubbard. This is so amazing. Oh, guys, welcome. It is such a thrill to have you both here. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
I just want to say, when I hear your song, Thank You, Lord, I dare somebody to listen and not smile and at least hum a little bit.
You know you want to dance.
Yes.
You can't help it. You know you can't help it.
Yes. Yes.
I have to, and I had this conversation before, but Chris and I were talking about this a long time ago. I did country radio for 30 years, and when you listen to country music and you listen to Christian music, we're all the same family, man. We're just not singing about trucks and beer. And when this project came out, Chris Tomlin and Friends, I literally cried. I'm not going to lie to you. Give me the genesis. How did this happen?
Oh, buddy, I'm so glad Tyler's here that we can tell this story together, because it was something that I wasn't looking for, wasn't trying to do, wasn't thinking, oh, this will be my next thing. I've always loved the music, country music. I grew up on it. My dad, being from Texas, my dad that's what my dad loved.
Yeah.
And he loved that music. And so when he put a guitar in my hand, I was 9 years old. It was those songs. It was some of the Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard and those guys.
Yes, sir.
That's who my dad loved. But also church. And it was my whole life it was the combination of both. And then, God just did so much in my life and was doing so many things, and it just, this direction of worship he just kept pushing me. I wanted to write songs, help people sing, and led me all the way to this amazing life that I never thought I would have. And so my whole mission has been to write songs and help people worship God, right? And so this record that we just put out was not on the radar for me, and it happened that this guy standing next to me, I was just finished tour. This was 2019, and I just finished tour, and I walked into this gym to work out, and
because you're pretty buff.
You can tell I work out.
Yeah,
right?
I'm pretty buff.
Yes,
it's amazing.
Sure.
We had to widen the doorway.
Yeah. Straight Rip City.
And so I walk in this gym, work out, and there's one other person in there, and it's Tyler. And I was like, gosh, I knew our worlds were kind of close, but I didn't know Tyler. So I just walked up and I said, I want to introduce myself because I need to meet this guy, and I've loved his music. And so I said, hey man, I'm Chris Tomlin, and this just instant friendship started. I remember Tyler looking at me, and I'll let him speak.
I was like, wait, Chris Tomlin? Like Chris Tomlin? Like, Chris Tomlin? Yeah.
And so it was one of those things. I was like, yeah. And he goes, oh man. And I remember, you probably don't remember saying this, but you're like, man, I started listening to you when I was in the 8th grade. And I was like, great. This is great. I felt.
Well, and to pick it up though,
it was
because
actually
Tyler,
7th grade, but who's counting?
But that's okay. What's another year? Yeah, especially when you're old. But for you, this was this was part of your life in leading worship. I mean, you're doing Chris Tomlin songs.
Yeah, I got to tell him, like, hey, dude, like, I just got to say thank you for introducing yourself. I'm on rep like 290 right now. I'm like, hey, bro, thank you for thank you for introducing yourself. Can I just spill my heart for a second? But no, I was like, dude, like, because of you, I picked up the guitar. Because of you, I fell in love with music.
Oh.
And because a lot of your music, I fell in love with Jesus and found that through music I could connect with Jesus. And that's when my passion for music really began. So I had to give a lot of credit to him, even in the gym, like, bro, you just got to know this. Like, thank you for being a fan of our music and what we do. And you may not believe me, but you're a big, big part of why I'm even doing music in the first place. So then it was like, we need to be friends, you know. And then we just we hit it off that day. I smoked him on a bicycle on the beach.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
I want to know though what you feel, this friendship that you guys have started and now doing music together. What does that do for country and Christian music?
I just think it's beautiful. Just opening the gates, right? Of just bridging that together, and of just that common ground of people. It's beautiful to see that the opportunities of people. One of the things when we put this album out, one of my favorite things that happened when we put this record out, so this comment was, man, I really didn't think I'd like this music because I don't like Christian music, but but man, I like this guy, Chris. The next comment was, I didn't think I'd like this because I don't really like country music, but I really,
on.
no lie,
Yes,
it was like two
yes.
comments back to back, two different people. It's like, oh my gosh, I really like these guys. I like this Florida Georgia Line. I like this Thomas Rhett. I like this thing, and it was really cool. And it's just, it's letting people see, gosh, man, I think sometimes we put everything in a genre or in a box.
Yes.
So like this fits here. And this was a moment to say, you know what? This is the gospel. Jesus is for the world.
Yes.
Yes.
And for everybody, and everybody gets it, and it's for everyone, and it's a level field. So the ground is level with Jesus. It's all the same, and so connecting people in that way has been really special. And I never dreamed. So that day at the gym with Tyler, I was like, wow, this is really cool. I didn't realize when I walked up to, when I think of, in my mind, when I think of Florida Georgia Line, I was thinking the last thing that they would know is Chris Tomlin.
Absolutely.
The last person in
Absolutely.
my mind, because
Yes.
I'm just thinking this is one of the hippest party bands in country music, right? And
That boy don't go to church.
and I was just thinking, and so that instant connection of like, I remember Tyler saying, man, I can take you to where I was at Bridgestone. I was a college freshman at this conference called Passion. And,
Oh, come on.
and he goes, I can take you to the seat I was there, and you were leading worship. And I was just like, man, I want to do this for the rest of my life. And then, you connected with BK, with Brian at Belmont right after that, right? And y'all started leading worship on
Matter of fact, yeah, we led quite a bit of worship before we became FGL. Together we were for youth groups and stuff. We'd go lead worship to make like $100 to pay gas, like whatever. We were struggling college kids, and like, yeah, this is great. So we both grew up in church and grew up learning worship songs and how to play guitar in that way, and then getting the lead worship for our youth group in high school. But then, in college together, to get to do that with BK was really special. Yeah. And then to have the full circle was.
In when I heard the song for the first time, because this is something, again, that's such a passion project for me.
Yeah.
That's like 30 years in. And when you listen to that song and you hear Thomas in that very distinct voice, and then you hear Chris, and then here comes Tyler Hubbard. I'm like, Jesus, we've done it. I threw my hands. I started crying, man. I'm not going to lie to you. It was such an amazing moment. And Amy doesn't know you all from Adams Taylor. And I'm just like, and she's like, who are these guys? I love these guys.
It's my favorite.
And it's her favorite song on the album.
It is. And I was listening to it even before Kayla was playing it. And I would send it to my friends, and I'm like, listen to this. I'm not a big country fan. I'm just being totally honest. And I love it. And it's led me to learn more about music. I want to know what your experience has been like, because this is a totally different genre for you, really, to publicly step out and be singing.
Yeah, and to answer that question, like, I'll just continue the story a little bit. We spent the rest of that day dreaming together. I mean, it went from a very quick, hey, how you doing, to, hey, bro, you wanna let's dream something up together. And then kind of this, I'm getting chills thinking about it, but we started talking about, what if we just collided our worlds together and just, what would Jesus do in this situation?
Yes.
Like, how would Jesus? I think he would capitalize on this opportunity to spread the gospel, to connect people that maybe don't know Christian music or maybe don't know Jesus in general, to people that maybe don't know country music and maybe don't know how connected those two worlds are, and how even when we started putting this project together, everyone we reached out to, everybody literally everybody on the record was like, oh my gosh, Chris Tomlin, I would love to be on this project.
I was floored at every turn.
Because they all had the same story. They go, again, Chris, no offense, but I grew up on Chris. I love, I mean, this is the foundation of my musical upbringing. And so everybody was honored. But to say all that, I feel, to answer your question, just super inspired, super excited, super grateful to have met Chris and to have someone that's aligned with me, that thinks the same, and that can say, let's push the boundaries and let's see what God can do here, because it's not a coincidence that we met. It's not a coincidence. No. None of this is coincidental. No. So God's up to something really cool, and Chris has been bold enough to say, let's lean into this and see what God's got up his sleeve. And it's been really fun and really exciting, something different for me, something different for my friends, and something different for CT. So it's been it's just been exciting, and kind of this renewal of energy and creativity overall, I'd say.
Look, if y'all want to start another movement in Nashville, have at it. Get after it, son. I think you already started, to be honest with y'all. Yeah. You cannot get bigger than y'all. I mean, we've already established that before he rested, he created Chris Tomlin. But I mean that in a loving way, brother.
Let me say this, and Amy, this record would not happen without Tyler. It's my name on it, but it was so organic, honestly, that we weren't starting out thinking we were making a record. Tyler was like, let's just write some songs and smash this thing up. Let's just see what would happen. And after I met Tyler, I was thinking it was a great connection. I was thinking I'll probably never hear from him again. The next morning, I get a text, "Hey, what are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I'm with my kids." He's like, "Let's start writing some songs."
Oh,
and that's
come
when
on.
he goes, "Let's go take a bike ride." That's when he smoked me on the bike, and all this kind of stuff. We won't get into that. But then he's like, "Let's write some songs and let's see what happens." And then it comes into, gosh, maybe there's an album here. Maybe there's something we could make a record together. Tyler starts calling his buds, all his friends, and saying, "Let's all do this together." All those people you see on this record, most of them came from Tyler calling them and saying,
fabulous.
because they're maybe not going to take my call, but they're going to take his. And he was like, "Let's do this," and it was really special. We get into halfway making this music, and Tyler's like, "What do you think about going out on tour with us?" And I was like, What? And I was like, now we're doing some crazy things.
Something else that makes no sense.
We're pushing boundaries, but that makes no sense to me. And he goes, "No, man, I was thinking, but let's do some worship in the middle of our concert. Like you come and do in the middle of our concert." So here we go. And he's like, and so I'll never forget, one of the most amazing moments of my life was Atlanta, Georgia, 2019. Massive. They had the biggest country tour of the year that year.
Yeah.
It was massive artists, and what they had on the bill with them. And in the middle of the night, in the middle of the show, he just stops and says, "We're gonna." I'll never forget Tyler, man. What a gift he has. He's had everybody raise their hands. He said, "I'd like for everybody." He goes, "BK and I used to lead worship and lead people to sing." He goes, and one of the most powerful things I've realized was when you there's power when you lift your hands.
Yeah.
And he said, "I just want you to lift your hands." The entire place, there's 20-something thousand people lifting hands, a lot of beers, lifting a lot of
Sure,
beers.
yeah. It is an FGL show.
It is FGL. And everybody's just lifting hands. And he said, "We're going to take this to, we just want to have some praise for a minute. I just want to praise God. I want to bring out a friend of mine." I was shaking. I mean, I'm used to like doing my own concert where people expect to do praise and things like this. I'm thinking, all right, what's going to happen? I mean, this has been all day. People have been in this mode, and I was like, this is going to be crazy. My wife's scared. She goes, "Are they going to boo you off the stage? What's going to happen?" And I walk out there, and we do stand between BK and Tyler, and we just start singing "How Great Is Our God."
Ooh.
And the place just changes. I mean, it just shifts. I mean, atmosphere shifts. People start praising.
Yes.
Tears.
Wow.
My buddy Pat Barrett was out in the lawn because he had tickets to the show. I told him, I texted him, I said, "Hey, I'm gonna be at the FGL concert tonight." He goes, "Yeah, me too. It's my wife's favorite band. We got tickets. We're out in the lawn." I was like, "No, I'm gonna be in the concert." He's like, and he sent me the emoji of mind blown. He's like, "I can't even. What are you talking about?" And I remember he texted me afterwards, and he's like, "Chris, you have no idea what's going on in the lawn out here." He goes, "It's like a holy ambush." That's the words he used. He goes, "Man, I just see my friends who have not connected with God in such a long time, and how you cannot." He goes, "I think the last place they probably thought they were going to meet God tonight was a Florida Georgia Line concert, and here it is." And that's because this guy here, Tyler, has the guts. I said, nobody else. I don't know many of your peers that would take that moment.
Yeah.
Think about those people. Think about at the level that Tyler and BK are.
Right.
And I don't know if many of your peers would take that moment to stop and say, "We're just going to give praise. I want to give praise to God and honor to God right now." And it was, it was powerful. So we did a couple nights like that. We'll see where it goes from here. But it's just been amazing. And all of this this is such a God thing, because this was walking into a gym and meeting each other.
Right.
And God just saying, "I'm going to do something today that none of y'all really thought was going to be happening." And this is going to go for who knows how long this goes and where this goes. But
oh, man.
And just today, being able to do this on radio, we've never done this. Tyler and I have never been on the radio together like this. This is the first time ever, and with you guys. And just to be able to tell the story on the radio like this, and with everybody across the country listening, I just hope you're encouraged today to know that, man, God is up to something huge, and he's going to get his message to people in incredible ways, in ways we never dreamed. And I've sang "How Great Is Our God" that night, and I've sung that all over the world. I've sung it in all kinds of languages, and all over the world. And I'm not sure I've ever felt it like that, because everywhere I've sung it, people were ready for it. in this place no one was.
Yeah.
And it just took on a different different
That was
thing.
definitely the highlight of my career for sure, by far. And that night was so special, and it kind of did set the bar of like, yo, dude, like we can't just say this was like a one-off. Like this is something bigger and more special than we've even imagined. And thank you for saying all that, CT. But also, it took the same amount of bravery and courage on CT's part, in my opinion, or even more, to come to an FGL show and get up there with 30,000 and say, "Hey guys, we're gonna praise Jesus for a minute, and let's celebrate the reason that we're all here." And so yeah, just to say and to encourage you guys to, man, step out on that limb and take a chance. And it's just incredible to see what God's capable of, and even more. So I'm excited, and I wish we had 30 minutes to tell more stories, because it's just over and over like that, from seeing animals that. Just on and on and on. I mean, we have so many stories. Every other day, we just about call each other and be like, bro, listen to what happened today. And it's just, it's just hard to wrap our heads around, but it's really exciting. And it's like I said, it's kind of re-energized us and just got us excited for
I have to say, I mean, I remember the first FGL show that I hosted was in a parking lot at a car dealership in Florida, and it was a free show.
Yes.
And I look at where you guys started, and I see where you are now, and I look at, last show I went to was in Dallas about 5 years ago, and I'm thinking, what could possibly be next for FGL that would take it higher than where you guys already achieved? And you did it. And what I see now is you've just blown a ceiling off, and like, this is going to go this much higher. I am so thrilled to see what you guys have done, to have watched that. And thank you for letting me be part of it.
Thank you.
And man, dude, you know what this project means to my heart.
Yeah.
And I think that this is all God inspired, and I cannot wait to see what y'all do next.
It's an honor to talk to you about it, because I know you get it and understand all the history of what this is and what this is coming together, and how what kind of walls this breaks down, and so it's really cool. And
it takes more than just CT. It takes you guys. It takes the fans. It takes all Christian radio to step out on a limb and say, hey, I'm going to take a chance with a song that's never been done before, with two country artists that we've never played on Christian radio. So it's bravery across the board. It's not just me. It's not just CT. It's everyone. And I think that represents Christ more than anything.
Yes.
So I really, and I've been saying that since day one, like, Christ did things very untraditionally.
Absolutely.
Totally.
It's funny, Amy, because yesterday you said that every once in a while you have to be afraid.
Yes. You have to do it afraid. Yeah. As you guys are talking, that's all I think about. But really what I think is that you're inspiring other people who have been labeled something their whole life and felt like there's no way I could ever do this. There's no way I could ever do this for God. And because of those labels, you've been held back. And the miracles that God wants to perform in the lives that he wants to change, not happening because you're too scared to take that step. And you guys are inspiring people right now to step out of your labels. Like, why would you two sing together? You're on this radio station and you're on this radio station, but yet you come together, which is exactly what Jesus would want. And it's the body of Christ.
Right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy.
It's beautiful. And God just, he lets you know, like, in interesting ways that you're doing things. Tyler mentioned something a minute ago, and now you guys can cut this or use this or however you want, but this was crazy. When that night in Atlanta, when we finished that night, and it was an incredible night, Lauren and I were driving back to our hotel, and we're in the middle of the city, Atlanta, massive city. We come up to our hotel, and there's a light. It's 2 a.m. There's a light post, light on it for the street light, and in this huge, massive owl just swoops down and lands on the light post and is just looking at us and just staring at us. And I'm just like, that is strange. Look at that, Lauren. Look at that. I've never seen an owl in the middle of Atlanta. I used to live in Atlanta. And I was like, this thing is huge. And she goes, no, I think, and my wife, she's like always tuned in. I'm not always tuned in. She's always tuned in. She goes, no, I think God's saying something to you about tonight. I'm going to look up what an owl means spiritually. And when she looked it up, it means eyes in the dark, just be able to see in the dark.
Oh, buddy.
And it's night vision. And I was like, oh my goodness. We played in Atlanta. We went into Vegas. Tyler's like, let's do this in Vegas as well. Atlanta's one thing, Vegas is the next. He goes, so we went into Vegas and did the same thing. And this lady comes up and gives a gift to his daughter. They're ending the night. They're doing their encore. People are throwing stuff, the gifts up to them. Gives a gift. Hey, give this to Liv, his daughter. We go backstage, open it. It's a stuffed owl.
Okay.
What?
Okay. All righty.
We're just like,
Wow.
we're just like, what's going on? So when you look at the album cover, CT and Friends, it has a little owl at the top. I put it on there just as a reminder of like, this is what it really is, you know, to be a light in the darkness, to be able to see. That's what Jesus was like. To wherever God has you, to have that night vision, you know, because we live in dark days. We live in tough days.
Yeah.
Yes.
We live in very hard
The
days.
difference in CT and myself is he puts an owl on the album cover. I go get an owl tattooed
He
on
did.
my arm.
You
here.
did?
Yeah, right here. It represents that kind of like
Yes.
story.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
Life
Okay,
changing.
should yeah.
I tried to get
Nice
CT to get
gun.
inked up with me, but he
Yeah.
wasn't. He
Let's see this.
Yeah.
Look at our arms.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of a difference there. A little
Are you
bit.
two still working out together? Or?
Yeah. Apparently not.
we got to be on vacation for that.
This is a culmination of something I've prayed about for decades,
Mm.
and I'm so glad you guys are here and doing it and representing. Man, thank you, thank you,
Thank you. Thanks for
Yeah,
having us.
thanks, Skid. Thanks, Amy.